5.3 FM.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. It's Friday, March the 24th, and it must be Health Futures Day. Happy Friday. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park, and you're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You, and I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've got an extraordinary guest here on the show today. I'm going to introduce him real quickly. His name is Zaki Lababidi, and he is a cardiologist over at Gilbert Cardiology. And we're going to talk a lot about his program. And if you're just tuning in, this show is a show about how one can live a healthier, happier life. And more importantly, we focus in on the older adult population. And how do we do this? We bring extraordinary guests like Dr. Lababidi here on the show. And we've brought financial services experts, research scientists, and we talk about some of the challenges that our older adult population has. And one of the greatest things about having Dr. Lababidi here today is I want to talk to him about cardiology. And if you're just tuning in for the very first time and you've never listened to Health Futures before, I want to just share with you, my listening audience, as to why we are in this space. My family and I are in this space of delivering home care. We own a home care agency called Cypress HomeCare Solutions. We're in our 24th year, and what we do is we help enable our older adult population to live at home. And how do we do this? We do this through caregivers, extraordinary caregivers that are compassionate, caregivers that are giving, caregivers that want to make a difference in someone's life. And how do they do that? They assist individuals with what we call activities of daily living. And those activities can be getting dressed, can be bathing, can be meal preparation, can be reminding about medications, driving to appointments, and really, truly companionship. You know, it's crazy that a lot of people don't realize this. 1/3 of our population that is 65 and older is living home alone. And if you know of someone that is dealing with life challenges, both physically, medically, emotionally, having someone come in and assist them, whether it be every day, every other day, or just a couple days a week, can make an extraordinary difference. And I'm going to give a shout out. I always like to do this. What makes our company is caregivers. And if you're listening in and you're one of those people, or you have a family member, a friend, neighbor that is a caring, compassionate person, we're always looking for caregivers. Caregivers make the difference. A lot of home care agencies want someone with experience. At Cypress HomeCare Solutions, we don't necessarily need experience. We have a caregiver training lab. I'm looking for heart. I'm looking for someone that wants to make a difference in someone's life. So just fast forward to our guest, Dr. Lababidi, and if it's okay, I'd like to call you Zach.
Absolutely.
He's here on the show, and the reason why my family's in this space is because my brothers and I and my dad were caregivers for our mother. My mom, at 48 years old, was our North Star, was bubbly, effervescent. Our world was centered around her. And on one fateful day in 1985, January 2nd, she had a massive heart attack. And not only did she have a massive heart attack in our home, and the paramedics brought her back to life, but she proceeded to have 4 more at the hospital. It was so bad that they decided to put her into a drug-induced coma. And she was in a drug-induced coma for nearly 18 days until her body could rest, and then spend about another 30 days in ICU. And when she was discharged, she had short-term memory issues, and part of that was because of the lack of oxygen to her brain, and 2/3 of her heart no longer worked. About a year and a half later, she had what is called an AICD put in, an automatic implantable cardiodefibrillator. We used to call it an ambulance in her chest. Unfortunately, it wasn't connected correctly, Zach. She had about 17 misfires.
Oh, my goodness.
And, she was on the edge. And I will tell you, when she said it would fire, she could feel it all the way down to her fillings. I will tell you, I'm talking the cavity fillings. I will tell you that I witnessed her go through one of these cardioversions, and, I mean, it was like someone had paddled her. It depressed her right into the bed and then popped. One time it happened in an ER, and a nurse was right there by her, and I could see, and she was like, oh no, and I watched her turn like ash gray, and then I watched it pop, and then the nurse was holding onto the rail, as was my mother. The nurse fell off the stool and was on the ground.
Wow.
And fortunately she was okay, but my mother came through, and all of a sudden color came right back to her face. So this is why we're in this business. We were caregivers for my mother for nearly 18 years. She lived after. Mm-hmm. Quality of life wasn't great, but at the same time, this changed our lives forever. And my cardiologist tells me I have family history, and I technically do. But Mom also grew up in an era in the 1950s where, smoking and not watching what you're eating and living the harder lifestyle was pretty much in vogue. It was what people did. So, I watch my heart, and I go to a cardiologist, and I take a little bit of a statin, 5 milligrams, not every day, but it helps keep everything in check. So I am so glad you're here on the show, because heart disease is something that is very prevalent in our country. And I want you to talk a little bit about what you do. And then you're also pivoting and creating a new entity, and I want you to talk a little bit about that. So we're just getting started. I know we're coming up on a break on our first segment, but I want you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your cardiology practice and what you do.
Sure, Bob. So my name is Zaki Lababidi. I'm an interventional cardiologist with Gilbert Cardiology. We had this practice for 10 years now, and we grew from myself and one staff to 3 cardiologists and 3 nurse practitioners and about 14 staff.
Wow.
So fortunately, the practice has been busy. We've been able to take care of a lot of our patients. And like you said, family event got you in this field, and family event got me into cardiology. There's always, you ask the question, why did you choose cardiology? Mm-hmm. Well, my father had his first heart attack at 42.
Wow.
So you said, you were told you have family history. Well, guess what? We're in the same boat. I have family history too. And I look at my patients like family, and I want to avoid any of them having a heart attack. The aim and the goal is to prevent one from happening, and this is why we can talk about prevention and what people can do even before they get to a cardiologist to avoid having a heart attack and having to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and you know what? For some reason in the medical profession, when someone has a heart attack or something similar, they call it an event. I think of an event as like a party, but that's a medical event that happens, and having a heart attack is something that obviously happens more times than not.
Right.
And I know it's one of the leading causes of death.
Absolutely.
And like a lot of other things, it is, if you get screened and you go see a doctor, it is preventable.
Yes.
And, one of the preventabilities, here I am stumbling, it's Friday, is the fact that you and I share something in common, and I would imagine a lot of people that are listening to our show today do too, and it's that family history.
Sure.
And if you have family history, you should be talking to a specialist
you should
like
take
yourself.
This very seriously.
You should definitely.
Absolutely, and do everything possible. And there's a lot of things we can do now There's a lot of advances in cardiology that will detect the disease very early on, way before a heart attack happens. But we have to be proactive and do that.
Well, one of the things I want to talk to you when we come back to the next segment,
Yes.
I want to talk to you about cholesterol.
Yes.
And I want you to talk to me about LDL versus HDL. One of them needs to be low, the other one needs to be high, or vice versa. What does that mean? And what can you do to manage that cholesterol and keep it?
We'll explain all that.
Well, we got James, our engineer, taking us out with a little bit of Boston. So thank you, James. It's Friday, March 24th. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I've got Gilbert cardiologist Zaki Lababidi here in the studio. We're talking about heart disease. We're talking about how to prevent heart disease. And we're also going to talk a little bit about a new venture that you've got going that really will help a lot of people in our community. We'll be right back.
Arizona investment property experts are now your Mexican investment property experts. Join investment property experts this Wednesday for an informative investing in Mexican real estate workshop. Learn about investing in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico, and how you can earn a net 15% annual return. IPX's crown jewel in Mexico is the Esmeralda Resort located on Sandy Beach in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico. Puerto Peñasco is the popular beach getaway known as Rocky Point, only 3.5 hours away from Phoenix. This is the perfect investment and vacation opportunity for you. As an investor, you will not only earn 15%, but you will have access to numerous investment projects. Currently, we are offering Esmeralda investors discounted lots, houses, and condos that can be purchased and flipped. And best of all, everything is 100% turnkey. With the home port commencing construction this year and its planned completion in 2019, this project will be a big boost to the economy and investment in real estate in Rocky Point. Learn more by attending an informative workshop this Wednesday. Call 620-254-6244 or visit ArizonaInvestmentPropertyExperts.com.
I'm a woman who cares how I look, how I feel, and how I function. I found a place that understands and can help me feel better, function better, and look better. Scottsdale Center for Women's Health.
Hi, I'm Dr. Burt Webb.
And I'm Dr. Russell Bartels. For over 3 decades, we've been Arizona's leading experts on hormone optimization, bladder control, female rejuvenation, decreased sensitivity, painful intercourse, and much more.
We can change your life.
They changed my life. They can change yours. Check out these amazing docs at loveprocedure.com.
4 schools, semifinal hoops, and ice-cold Corona. Sounds great, doesn't it? Be a part of all the action at our Fanatic 4 headquarters, McFadden's at Westgate and Glendale. Join the Fanatics Saturday, April 1st for a live national broadcast from SB Nation from 9 to 11 a.m., followed by myself, Jeff Dean, and Mike Gross from 11 to 1 p.m. McFadden's will have Corona specials all day long. Our West Valley Fanatic 4 headquarters, McFadden's, courtesy of Corona. More details at 1580thefanatic.com.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've got Dr. Zaki Lababidi here in the studio from Gilbert Cardiology. And if you just missed our first segment, you can catch it up on our website, CypressHomeCare.com. You can catch about 150 others that we've been bringing to you for now 4 years. So cardiology, if you're just tuning in, is very important to me because I'm in this space because my mom had a massive heart attack and her life changed. And I found myself as what we call an accidental caregiver and had no idea what I was getting into back in 1985. She was 48 years old, lived nearly 18 more years after. But, the quality of life wasn't quite there. And, this is something that, as Dr. Lababidi and I have been talking about, is preventable, especially if you've got family history. And, one of the things that you shared with me at the break is I talked about a medical event. You said it's a life-altering event. Is that what you said?
Yes. You said a heart attack, cardiologists call it event. And I call it, and I tell all my patients, it's a life-changing event.
A life-changing event.
So, first of all, you want to prevent it, but if it happens, you still have to do a lot of things going forward that will enable you to live your life to the fullest and take advantage of the medications available, procedures available to make your quality of life as good as possible. And the advances from between 1985 and now is tremendous. I would say even in the last 10 years or so, the advances we have in cardiology is beyond belief to advance the quality of life for all patients.
And, you know, one of the things we talked about at the end of the segment, and I wanted to ask you, all of us know that, you know, one of the identifying markers, the measurement, is cholesterol.
Yes.
And we all work on trying to keep our cholesterol down.
Yes.
But I will tell you, I get very confused. LDL, HDL, you know, one needs to be high, the other one, you know, it needs to be low. I know, and what I know is that LDLs are bad. Yes. So can you walk us through what that all means? Because, you know, you probably, even if you're not seeing a cardiologist and you go to see your family doctor and you get your blood work done, you should be always monitoring your cholesterol. So what should we be looking for?
Well, what we call lipid profile contain cholesterol, total cholesterol, which is important. More important is the component you talked about. We look at bad cholesterol, which is the LDL, the good cholesterol, HDL, but also very important, triglycerides. And triglycerides, if they're high, they are also considered a risk factor for not only coronary artery disease, which is blockages in the heart and heart attacks, but also strokes. And strokes could be as bad or worse than heart attack, could be disabling stroke. So it's very important to look at all the risk factors, not only cholesterol, but we're going to talk about cholesterol now. So for different patients, there are different goals. If I have a 30-year-old gentleman who does not have high blood pressure, does not have diabetes, never had a blockage in his heart, and he doesn't have a family history, his goal of cholesterol is different. His level of LDL that is acceptable, which is the bad cholesterol, HDL, good cholesterol, is completely different from a patient who had bypass surgery or a patient who have high blood pressure only. So depending, again, on the patient I'm dealing with, they have a set goals for their cholesterol, triglyceride, bad cholesterol, good cholesterol. And that depends on national guidelines, by the way. This is not really an opinion of one physician against the other. It's the American College of Cardiology, the American Heart Association guidelines of how to treat patients with high cholesterol. But it is very important. It is one of the very serious risk factors, and it should be checked in everybody. It's a routine test that you do on your physical exam every year. So, for example, if I have somebody who has diabetes, no blockages, no heart attack, no nothing, just diabetes, this is treated as somebody who had a bypass surgery. Mm-hmm. So his LDL, we want it to be 70 or below, and his HDL, which is the good cholesterol, should be above 40 for men and above 50 for women. We hold women to higher standards when it comes to good cholesterol.
Right. So
it has to be above 50. And that will reduce, and it's been shown in studies to reduce the incidence of heart attacks and strokes in patients. I have to add that when we treat cholesterol with the most common medication is statins, it has to be treatment for a long term. So the studies have shown that when you take statins for years, then yes, you will reduce your risk of stroke and heart attacks, whether it be the first heart attack or prevent even the first one, or if you had a heart attack and we want to prevent a second heart attack and we want to decrease the chance of you developing more blockages, so you're needing more stents, or you already had a couple of stents and now you're developing more blockages that you need bypass surgery. So it helps in all angles and in a lot of patients.
You know, I want to talk about statins, but before I talk about statins, I want to talk about women versus men.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, there's this misnomer out there that heart attacks are more prevalent in men and not women. Can you give me some statistics, some things that you see? Because let's face it, I mean, you know, heart attacks are the silent killer. And, I had a friend of mine probably about 12 years ago that, was going out for a jog and basically his heart in his early 40s just blew up and he had no chance. Tell me a little bit about, genders and how it's very different from one versus the other.
Very good. So what is known in general that heart attacks are more prominent and more prevalent in men. And it is true. And it happened in men at an earlier age. And we think that's because of the women hormones protecting them up to the age of 55 or so. After the age of 55, 65, then the incidence equalize actually. So after age 65, the incidence of heart attacks in men and women almost the same. What is problematic in women is the symptoms are less classic. So women may not have the classic chest pain that is radiating to the left arm and up to the neck, associated with shortness of breath and sweating and palpitation. They may have indigestion. Mm-hmm. They may have little discomfort sometimes. In strange cases, they may have just a back pain, but not a chest pain. And with that, they are late to pay attention to the symptoms, come to the hospital because they think it's something else. I'm having indigestion. It's probably my stomach. It's probably what I ate an hour ago. And the longer it takes for a patient to come to the hospital, the worse the results, even if they are treated. So it's very important in women, especially if they have risk factors. If they have family history. By the way, family history is the strongest predictor of a problem. If you have family history, do not take it lightly. Then, if you add to that smoking, overweight, cholesterol high, before you know it, it's like, oh my goodness, I have 5-6 risk factors for a heart attack. Guess what? I'm at high risk.
Yeah.
But I'm young, I'm walking, I have no problem. I don't have to pay attention to that. And that is the mistake. That is the killer mistake.
And it's interesting because I've come across people that have some of the things you talk about, right, and may not be overweight. They may be even in the gym working out and in great shape, right, and suffer from a heart attack.
Absolutely.
I mean, just because you're working out in the gym and you have low body fat, if you've got family history, as you said, that's the number one predictor. One of the things that I do want to talk about, we'll talk about statins in this next segment coming up, is really, I want to leave the second segment off, and that is, I think people, and I see this in my own practice with HomeCare, people are reluctant to call 911 because they feel like, you know what, I'm going to be okay. It's not that big a deal. But I think you'll agree with me, Zach. If you feel like you may have some of the signs, don't take it upon yourself. That's what they're there for.
Absolutely true.
You should call 911 or get in the car and have your partner, your loved one, your neighbor take you to the hospital.
Absolutely true. And
because time is running out.
Minutes it can make the difference between life and death when it's a heart attack.
Absolutely. And I hope our listening audience really got that, because I think that, if I go back in time and think about in 1985, there were probably some signs my mother had, and she never really realized that she was about to experience that medical event.
True.
It's halftime here at Health Futures. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
The vote could come at any time now on the Trump-supported health care reform legislation on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, even though Speaker Paul Ryan has told the president the votes don't seem to be there for passage. But Sarah Murray reports Mr. Trump doesn't want the bill pulled off the floor.
We saw Sean Spicer in the briefing earlier, and other senior administration officials have been telling me they do want to see a vote on this today.
Press Secretary Spicer saying the president left everything on the field trying to round up the necessary 216 votes. A few more homes have burned in Bryceville, Florida, a wildfire there caused by a man burning books on Wednesday, but things are settling down now and evacuation is no longer mandatory. Annalisa Winter of the Florida Forest Service.
A coordinated attack, it'll be fast and we'll get things taken care of very quickly. Still a lot of work to do and a lot of focus really hitting this mop up very hard today.
Roads are now open again. Wall Street stocks now down across the boards as news of the healthcare vote spreads. The Dow off around 100 points. I'm Michael Toscano.
Sometimes diabetes can feel more like don't-abetes. Don't do this, don't forget that. But with a little help from Walgreens, diabetes won't slow you down. Stop by for expert pharmacy care in-store or online via pharmacy chat. Pick up the medications you rely on and get savings on testing supplies from all major brands like OneTouch and Walgreens TrueMetrics. Walgreens has just what you need to do more with diabetes. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
You're listening to Money Radio, still at 1510 AM, but our FM has moved to 105.3 FM. Check it out.
Retire and stay retired. Want to learn how? Tune in one of the best retirement shows on the radio anywhere, Mastering Money, now at 8 a.m. and a new time, 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Listen to wealth manager and Kiplinger contributor Steve Jurich with the Dr. Sinclair No and their great guests. Learn how to keep your financial plan on the road to financial independence. Mastering Money now at 8 and 6 right here on Money Radio AM 1510 and 105.3 FM.
The new MBZ Scottsdale service is your affordable choice for quality Mercedes-Benz service. With over 20 years experience and 18 as a Mercedes-Benz Master Certified Technician, you know your vehicle is in good hands. Save money without sacrificing quality. Mention this ad and get 30 to 50% off dealership pricing. MBZ Scottsdale Service is located off of Scottsdale Road, north of the 101. MBZ Scottsdale Service, 480-473-4722. Ask about their VIP pickup and delivery service. MBZScottsdaleService.com.
Hi, this is Ken from Online Trading Academy Phoenix. For a fresh take on the news and your money, check out The Right Side of the Trade, noon Thursdays and Saturdays on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. To understand how the markets really work, come to a free Online Trading Academy half-day class. When you come out, you'll also get a tablet with access to additional online courses at no charge. For free tickets, call 8448-INCOME. That's 844-846-2663 now.
What's the secret to getting ahead and having a more successful life? This week's lineup:
the CEO of international marketing company Gaia-VSM.com, the co-founder of Indiegogo.com, former Playboy.com president, and the CEO of the Gila River Indian Community.
Alliance's Heroes. Unmask the secrets of heroes in business every Thursday at 9 a.m. with David Kogan.
Toyota's One for Everyone sales event is going on right now with low financing, special cashback offers, and more. Visit your Valley Toyota dealers or valleytoyotadealers.com today.
People who attended President Trump's for-profit real estate seminars are expected to get back at least 80% of the money they spent. That's according to a court filing showing plaintiffs' attorneys and Trump University struck a $25 million settlement last year in a series of fraud lawsuits alleging the classes didn't live up to promises. Those attorneys and lawyers for Trump University are urging a federal judge to grant his final blessing to the deal. About 3,700 former Trump University students submitted claims, and only 2 people raised objections to the settlement. Crude futures rose 27 cents today, ending the week at $47.97 a barrel. Oil was down more than 1.5% for the full week. Stocks have changed direction. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is now down 115 points. The NASDAQ Composite is down 5 points. That's your money now.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $28 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-244-6060. That's 1-800-244-6060. 1-800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. It is Friday, March 24th, and I have got in the studio Dr. Lababidi. He is from Gilbert Cardiology, and we are talking about heart disease. If you just missed the first two segments, you can go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. By the way, it's a brand new website, and if you are tuning in for the very first time, check it out. Navigate through it. It's got incredible resources there. Go to the resource tab. We've got a lot of great information for those that are family caregivers, those that want to learn more about caregiving. We've got great videos, and of course, we've got great testimonials. It's cypresshomecare.com. You can also catch about 150 radio shows, and you catch the first two segments that I have here with Dr. Zaki Lababidi. So, Zach, we were talking at the end of the second segment, we were talking about family history, and we were talking about ways to really prevent a heart attack. And here we had the halftime break, and you shared a statistic with me that has still got me a little baffled, that 1/3, 1 out of 3 people who have this medical life-changing event called a heart attack have never had a healthcare issue before.
Yes, and this is true, and this is why prevention become a major issue, and seeing your doctor on a regular basis and checking out for cholesterol, high blood pressure, sugar, diabetes, very important, and modifying these risk factors. And there are tests that you can do early to discover a problem. There is, for example, a test called calcium score. Very simple. Patient will sit down on a CT scan table for literally 5 minutes. They measure the calcium deposits in the arteries that supply your heart with blood. This is completely different from the blood test you take, and they tell you, well, your calcium is 9 or your calcium is 10. This is not it. This is a CT scan, radiology test. It costs about $100. But it's the earliest
$100. That's
$100.
Wow!
And it's the earliest predictor of a blockage. If you are young, a 35, 40-year-old, you already have calcium deposits. They give you a score actually, and the score goes from 0, which is the best score. It's the only test in the world that you want to take a 0 on, right? And it goes to 100, which puts you at mild risk for a blockage. Between 100 and 400, you are at moderate risk for a blockage, and above 400, you are at high risk for a blockage. And you may not have anything else. You may not have high blood pressure, diabetes, you may not smoked ever in your life. But if you have that score, then you know that you have an issue. And how is that helpful? What do I do about it? Well, then you have to take your cholesterol seriously. So depending on the patient, we may put him on aspirin, statin as a prevention. And that will prevent or decrease the chance of a heart attack.
So this calcium deposit score,
Yes.
Is this something you can go to your family doctor, or do you have to go to a cardiologist?
Even the family doctor can order it for you.
And he orders it for you, or she orders it for you, and you have to go to probably, I'm assuming, a radiologist, right?
Yes.
It involves a CT scan.
Yes, either a radiology place or the hospital, and it's exactly the same machine, the CT scan, but this test is very quick. There's no venous access needed, no needles. You are in your clothes, you lay down for 5 minutes, and they measure these calcium deposits.
Wow. It is amazing how far we've come as relates to technology. Yes. You know, I want, and again, my listening audience, and for me, you know, stories tell everything. And, you know, I know you've got a lot of stories. And, you know, I want to talk about those people that are listening in right now that may think that all is well in the world and they're in the best shape of their life. We talked about at the end of the segment last, about people that are in good condition but may have family history. Right. Talk to me a little bit about a story, and I know you may not be able to give it to me exactly as it happened. Change the names to protect the innocent. Right. But I want our listening audience to really realize that this is a silent killer. This is preventable. We need to do something. We need to be vigilant about it.
Yes. So, like you said, I have a lot of stories, 25 years plus in this profession. But I'll tell you actually 2 stories in the last couple of weeks that I come across that make you pause. On a Saturday evening, I'm on call, I'm at home, but I'm available to the emergency room for any heart attack that comes that I have to go in within 30 minutes and be with the patient and treat him. They called me and they said, we have this 45-year-old gentleman who had a cardiac arrest at the golf course, and he's here now, and you need to take him to the cath lab and open his arteries because he's having a heart attack on the EKG. And I go there, and of course we took him right away to the cath lab. The arteries opened in a timely fashion. Everything is fine, but I'm looking at my patient, and what I learned from his friends who were with him at the time, that he's a 45-year-old gentleman, very young, very thin. And he had no medical problem whatsoever in the past. He did have family history. And
did you hear that? Family history.
Absolutely. Is the strongest predictor.
Yep.
And coming from Chicago to just golf with his buddies for a few days, getting away from a very stressful couple of weeks at his practice.
He's a professional.
He's a professional, and he just wanted to relax for a couple of days. He told his friends before they started golfing that Saturday that his chest does not feel right, but nothing else. He did not really have severe chest pain or shortness of breath or anything, and he golfed all Saturday. In the evening, when they sat down, just having their beers, they're chatting, basically, suddenly he had a cardiac arrest, and he is a very lucky person to have a medic, an Army medic actually, who was there, and he put him on the floor, started CPR within 60 seconds.
Wow. And that is so important.
Very important.
So important. CPR and getting compressions done to keep the person alive.
Absolutely. And then the more important now, and this is public health issue, there was an AED, automatic emergency defibrillator, on site in this golf course. And they attached that to him, and he was shocked 4 times by the paramedic got there. Then the paramedic got there, took over, brought him to the hospital. I was on call, came, took him to the cath lab. We opened the artery. The patient is on a ventilator for almost 5 days. We don't know how his brain is going to recover at that point. We really didn't know anything. And every statistics on earth is against him. This is called out of hospital, because he's not in the hospital. Out of hospital, cardiac arrest. The survival, just surviving that event, is only 5%. 95% of people die.
Wow.
And these 5%, unfortunately, a lot of them end up in a nursing home because their functional capacity is not there. But fortunately for this patient, the CPR started right away. They had the defibrillator on site. The paramedic came in and everything went his way. And the patient actually back to normal completely.
Made a full recovery.
Absolutely, and we're hoping to.
And did you put a stent in his artery?
We put a couple of stents in the artery. Usually when you have a heart attack, there is one of the 3 arteries that supply the heart with blood is totally occluded. And his was. And the largest one out of the 3 was actually occluded. So we put a couple of stents. It's open. Everything is fine. And that can be done we did it within 30 minutes. But we were worried about his brain recovery, and it was remarkable. He just had a full recovery.
We're up against a break again. My man James has got some great tunes, a little Bruce Springsteen. But I want to just share with the listening audience. You know that old saying, it takes a village? Really did take a village, and a little bit of luck. A lot of these public institutions have these AEDs hanging.
Yes.
And, it's real important for all of us to know CPR. Compressions are very important to keep them alive, especially to keep the oxygen going to the brain. Because oxygen deprivation, I know this from my own mom, is really, really difficult on the memory. Well, we're up against a break. You're listening to Health Futures. I got Dr. Zaki Lababidi here. We're down 3 segments. We've got one more. We're having fun here in Scottsdale Air Park at Money Radio Studios. We'll be right back.
Saturday morning, March 25th. Learn the strategy designed for your biggest challenges in retirement. The unpredictable stock market, the threat of rising inflation rates and low returns on fixed income investments, and the need to manage your tax liability. RSVP now for the 2017 Retirement Income Challenges Seminar presented by Lucia Capital Group, coming to Phoenix Saturday, March 25th. If you don't have a strategy designed to integrate your investments and Social Security benefits and protect your portfolio from taxes and inflation, don't miss this informative and interactive seminar where you can meet your Lucia Capital Group advisors and ask questions about your retirement strategy. Call 800-644-1150 to RSVP now. 800-644-1150. Or register at wealthed.com, as in wealth education. wealthed.com. All investments are subject to risk, including the loss of principal. Securities offered through Lucia Securities, LLC, member SIPC. For direct access, visit the SSA website at www.ssa.gov.
Today in Wall Street, markets are down big. CEOs and business owners are in full panic mode.
That's because they don't know where to buy quality, affordable office furniture. Markets West is the answer. Whether your office is large or small, you always get excellent service and great prices at Markets West. Locally owned and operated for over 38 years. Their experienced staff meets with every customer to help design and deliver the perfect office environment for you and your staff at an affordable cost. From desks and executive chairs to cubicles and reception area furniture, they have everything for your office furniture needs. Want to save even more? Mention Money Radio and get wholesale pricing. Markets West Office Furniture, your source for new and used office furniture. Visit them online at marketswest.com. That's markets with an S, west.com. Or call 602-275-2226. Save time and money. Call 602-275-2226 today.
It's all the genuineness of an In-N-Out burger times 2. The In-N-Out Double Double. Double meat, double cheese, double fresh. Come taste the difference at In-N-Out Burger.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you're just tuning in, we're in our 4th segment. I've got Dr. Zaki Lababidi here. He's from Gilbert Cardiology. The first 3 segments can be found up on our website at cypresshomecare.com, a brand new website. Zach, I want to just unpack a lot of stuff here in this last segment. We have so much to talk about yet. And, the thing that I marvel at, and it's not so much marvel at, the number 1 leading cause of death is heart disease.
Yes.
And, we've identified all the factors that lead to it. We talked about family history, But there are other risk factors, and I want you to share that with our listening audience because we can control some of those things.
Absolutely.
Please
Bob.
walk us through this.
All right. So we talked about family history, and we called it the strongest predictor, but also smoking. And you don't need a physician to treat you for that. If you smoke, you are increasing your risk of heart attack and strokes tremendously, among other things such as cancer, which is not any less important. Diabetes. You don't have to check, to go to a physician to check for that. Even you could check your sugar at home now with a device and make sure that your sugar is not high and it is below 100 every single morning, and you should check it fasting. Blood pressure. You could check your blood pressure also at home. There's devices you can buy from any pharmacy and make sure your blood pressure be, within normal limits. What is the normal blood pressure? The systolic, which is the high number, has to be below 140, and the diastolic, which is the low number, should be below 90. If you are within these ranges, then your blood pressure is normal. But if not, then you should treat it. Cholesterol we talked about. So all these risk factors, if you control it, you are doing something to decrease your chances of a heart attack. Weight is like smoking, something we can control on our own. We don't need a physician. We can keep our weight in check. We can keep our BMI around 25, which is the upper limit of normal. And if you do that, you are again decreasing your chances of a heart attack. So you're doing all these things without even checking with a physician yet. If you have family history or any multiple risk factors, then you should at least see a primary care or even a cardiologist, say what else I can do to prevent what we called a life-changing event, right? We want to prevent a heart attack from happening.
Right.
You don't want to wait until you have a heart attack and then decrease your weight and go to the gym and check your cholesterol. Why don't we check all of this before and prevent one from happening?
And also, you talked about diabetes.
Yes.
And the little bit I do know is that if you can stay ahead of the game, and if you're pre-diabetic, change your lifestyle, change your diet, change the way you eat, because once you get it, you can't go back.
Absolutely. And I'll give you one statistics about that. Diabetes is very important. We call it vascular disease because it is. You end up with vascular problem no matter what. And what you could do about that is the weight, for example. If you decrease your weight by 10%, just 10%. So if you have weight of 200 and you go down to 180, you decrease your chances of diabetes by 33%. That is remarkable.
Wow.
And that's, again, something you can do on your own. You don't need medications. You don't do anything. Just watch what you eat the right thing.
And move.
And move, yes.
And move. I had a concierge doc on here that said that sitting is the new smoking.
Absolutely.
I have 2 treadmill desks. I have one in my office at home and one at work.
Absolutely. Exercise is paramount when it comes to vascular disease and heart disease in specific.
Well, all these things, it's the number one leading cause of death, and we can prevent it.
Absolutely.
Knowing that if you have family history is important, but also knowing your scores, knowing where you are cholesterol-wise. I'm sure BMI has an impact on it.
Absolutely.
And again, some of these habits that we have as a society and as Americans, drinking diet sodas and smoking and doing all those things, we can control.
Absolutely.
We can control. And, one of the things that's really interesting, too, and we're both monitoring this because we're in the healthcare field, and anyone that is any related field is the Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
And just an update, Ryan to Trump, we don't have the votes. So, it's going to be an interesting ride we have as a country. And it's tragic that we may not have something that may be close to perfect, but we have to be able to provide health care to all Americans to prevent the challenges like we're talking about, the number one leading cause of death, heart disease.
Totally agree. We are a number one country in the world. We should be able to provide every citizen with decent health care, and we could do that. We have to have the will. I know you wanted to talk about statins.
Yeah, let's talk about statins real quick.
Statin is very important. If you are on statin, do not stop it. If statin is not working for you, because your cholesterol is very high. There's actually 2 new medications that are injectable. Check with your primary care, check with your cardiologist. These medications are very powerful. They will bring cholesterol down, and it is important for you to treat your cholesterol. If you have side effect of statin, talk to your doctor. We have a lot of statins on the market. There are over-the-counter medication that they can recommend to you that you can take and treat the side effects. So do not give up on statin. They're very important to prevent a first heart attack, or if you had one already, to prevent a second one from happening.
You know, it's funny you mention that because, you know, there are a lot of people that talk about the evils of statins.
Yes.
And, you know, they talk about those side effects, memory challenges, you know, joint issues, but you know there are always new breakthroughs. And you know,
true.
I have family history, and I'm taking one right now. It's called Rovastatin. Is that whatever it's called?
Right.
But I mean, it's a small dose, and you know what? I take it several days a week, and I'm able to keep my cholesterol down.
Exactly.
And you know, like I said, it's all about risk factors. I have family history, and you know, my cardiologist said, under 99, that's where you want to be. Under 99. I think everyone is born under 99, so you should be there. You should definitely be there. You know, I want to close by, first of all, telling people that if they want to reach you, they can call your office at 480-786-9100.
Anytime.
And it's Gilbert Cardiology.
Yes.
And as we wrap up, I know you're doing something a little unique and new. I've got about 30 seconds to talk about it. Just share with our listening audience. You're doing home visits? Is that what it is?
Yes, we are starting actually cardiology at home because some of our patients either unable to come to the office or they want to be treated in the privacy of their homes. And with the new technology we have, not only I can visit them at home, but a lot of testing in cardiology that we were able to do at home and take care of them. So that's another service that's available. I think we are first in Arizona that will leave you with no excuse whatsoever. If you don't have time, if you're busy executive, whatever it is, we can come to your home and we can take care of you.
It must run in the family because you're married to a pediatrician that makes house calls as well.
That is true.
and I will say, I've said it here on the show, the future is where home is going to be the center of care.
We're back to the future.
You know what? The hospital is a bad place to be.
Yes.
You should only go if you need life-saving measures done, but home should be the center of care.
Absolutely.
We're at the end of the show, Dr. Lababidi. Thank you very much for being on. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. Next week, I've got Dr. Dan Lemoline on. We're going to talk about Colorectal Cancer Month.
Thank you, Bob.
You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
What's your attitude towards the market? How confident are you about a successful retirement? Investors' attitude and confidence drives the market. Find out how that affects your retirement this Saturday morning from 10 to 11. My Smart Retirement with certified financial planner Nancy Fleming will cover investor attitude, market confidence, and how it affects your retirement. So tune in this and every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 for My Smart Retirement with CFP Nancy Fleming, right here on Money Radio, 1510 a.m. and 105.3 FM.
And 105.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K287BX Mesa. Tap the Money Radio app on your smart device and boom, there we are. You might need to make a visit to the App Store today, but it's free. The Dow is down 58 points at closing, 20,603. The S&P down a point, 2344, but the NASDAQ is positive 11 points at 5829.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news.